Well, Lord, honey, happy Wednesday to everybody. Now, listen, I hope everybody is having a good Wednesday. I know we're all at home and we're all enjoying each other's companies and we're social distancing, you all, and we're washing our hands. And I know that we're all at home during this time. We're trying to do our part. We need to do our part. And so today is another live demo. So on Facebook, I'll actually be taping it because it won't allow us to come on there live today. I think it's because everybody is doing some live stuff on Facebook, but that's okay. I'll post the video once we're done with the live demo. But hey, Instagram, hey, Facebook, how y'all doing today? Listen, it's all about those good Southern recipes that we talk about in the Country Bling Cooking Show. And that's what we're here today to do. Is to show you one of my all-time favorite recipes, which we'll get to in a minute. I grew up with this recipe, and it's one of my absolute favorites. I just love it. But thank you all so much for tuning in. The schedule is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So I'm glad that y'all are tuning in, and I'm seeing some great pictures out there of everything that I've been doing, that you all been doing as well, and you're doing such a great job with it. I hope that you're loving it. I hope that your family's loving it, and we're just going to get through this together. We're going to do this one day at a time, and we're going to do what we need to do, and we're just going to cook and bake and eat, and honey, we're just going to have more fun than a cow riding down the road on a bicycle with its udders flapping in the wind. So with that being said, let's get started. Today it is all about chicken and dumplings. Now, how many of y'all like chicken and dumplings? Listen, it's one of my favorite things on earth. Now, there's all different kinds of chicken and dumplings. So we're going to talk a little bit about what different types there is. You can go to north, you can go to the south, you can go to the east, you can go to the west, and it's always going to be a different type of chicken and dumplings. But honey, you know, being that true Southerner that I am, I absolutely love me some good true Southern chicken and dumplings. Now, growing up, Granny and I would go out, we'd find that nice plump hen, and we would kill it and pluck it and all that stuff and cook it. It would take us all day to make a nice big pot of chicken and dumplings. But today I'm going to show you my Southern easy chicken dumplings. So it's real quick. It's real simple. There's a lot of different things in this recipe that you can substitute. So we will go through that. I love to show you all the different types of substitutions because if you can't get one thing, I want you to still be able to make this recipe by using something different. So let's start out by talking about our stock. Now, usually you would take a hen or some chicken and you would put it in a stock pot with some water and you would boil it for a long time to get all that good flavors out of the bones and out of the skin and the chicken fat. Well, there's ways of getting that without taking all day to do it. Now, I want to talk about some stock. So today I'm using turkey stock in mine because that's what I had in the pantry. But if you have chicken bouillon cubes like these here, these are chicken bouillon cubes, you would just use 2 of these with the same amount of liquid that your stock would be and the water that it calls for on the recipe. There is also powdered stock out there that you can get, powdered like bouillon. You do the same thing. It's 2 teaspoons of powdered bouillon. So either way, you can use any type of stock you want in this. Usually I prefer like turkey or chicken. I have done it with pork. Beef, I've tried it. It's not the best in the world, but it works in a pinch, children, let me tell you. So I'm going to turn the cameras down so that you all can see our stock pot. And we're going to start, whoop, Lord, I've stuck my big hand up there in the way. So now don't forget, social distance, y'all. Now you can get this t-shirt on my website at southerncountryBling.com. And $2 from each shirt goes to No Child Hungry. So while we're showing everybody that we're social distancing, we're also helping out kids get a nice and healthy meal. So we're starting with the stock pot. You can see here I've just got my handy Dutch oven. We're going to add that 1 box, or it's 32 ounces of chicken stock or broth. We just want to put all that up in there. We'll put this over here in our garbage bowl. We'll turn on our burner here. Get our temperature going pretty good. Then you're going to add 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. Now, I said this is Southern Easy Chicken and Dumplings, and honey, it's also a quick chicken and dumpling. Sometimes you don't have time to get in the kitchen and, cook for 8 hours. We have a little bit of that time now, but this is a good recipe because once we all get back to work and stuff and you think, oh man, what am I going to fix for supper tonight? And you think, oh, I can do those quick chicken and dumplings because, honey, you have this recipe and serve it with some nice big piece of cornbread and you've got a whole meal right there. 1 cup of water. And then we're going to stir this up to break up that cream of chicken soup. Now you'll notice that I'm not adding any salt to this because in the stock, in the soup, we have enough sodium that we need. But if you are cooking this from scratch with your chicken, you would want to add a little salt. I have 3/4 a cup or a stick and a half of butter. Just want to put that in there. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Now remember, black pepper is what really gives us that seasoning. And you want to make sure that you're seasoning every bit of your steps because if you don't, you're not going to come out with that flavorful, granny-made taste on your chicken and dumplings or anything for that matter of fact. We always season each step. So now we're going to scoot this to the side and we're going to start our dough for our dumplings. While that's coming up to boil, all you do is put that stock in your pot and you put the water, you put the cream of chicken soups, you put the butter and the black pepper, and you just put it on medium-high heat, and you want it to come to a boil. And read the recipe carefully. As I say in the tips on this recipe, make sure that you're reading each step before you start this recipe so that you know and familiarize yourself with the recipe so that you're not missing a step. All right, now to the dough part of this. I have in my bowl, and this is my grandmother's bowl. It's those old enamel bowls, and my grandmother used these all the time, and I thought, well, this would be a good time that I could bring Granny into this recipe because she's the one that showed me chicken and dumplings, and children, I love them. Listen, I could eat my weight in them. I could eat so many of these, I'd probably need some Crisco to grease myself up to get out the door if I ate as many as I like. All right, so I have 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour in my bowl, and if you don't have all-purpose flour, you can use self-rising, but you do not need to put the baking powder or the salt in here if you're using self-rising. If you want to use gluten-free flour, then you would add the baking powder and the salt to it, but you want to add 1 more teaspoon of baking powder if you're using gluten-free flour. It does work with gluten-free. My mom's gluten-free and she loves chicken and dumplings. I make these for her all the time and she just slaps her lips, honey. She's just like a hog in a trough. You can't get her attention when she's eating these. She loves them so much. So now we're adding our baking powder. And we're adding our salt, which is a teaspoon. And if I miss a measurement when I'm talking to you all, it is in the recipe. And then I'm also going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper to this. And if you don't like black pepper, then by all means use white pepper. It works the same. The white pepper gives it that flavor and that unctuousness that we're looking for, that little bit of spice and that little bit of heat. Black pepper is just one of my favorites. Now, if you don't have a sifter at home, you would need to sift this, but if you don't have a sifter, the easiest thing to use is a whisk, and you just whisk those dry ingredients together. And this is just to incorporate your baking powder and your salt and your black pepper so that it's even in there. And then we're going to add some butter, because now y'all know that you got to have some butter up in your chicken and dumplings. Now, we've got a lot. I don't want you all to be counting how much butter's in this recipe, because butter makes everything better. All right, so we've got that whisked in, and then we want to take our butter, which is a 1/2 cup, and we're going to add it to our flour. And you have 2 options here on how to cut your butter in. You can either use a fork or you can use a pastry cutter. This is called a pastry cutter. How many of y'all have these at home? This is usually used to cut in butter to make pie dough and things like that. You can use it here. I use it a lot when I'm making biscuits as well. But if you don't have this at home, they make them in all different sizes and all different shapes. This is an old one. This one was my grandmother's. You can also use a fork, or you can use 2 knives, and you pull the knives crossways in the flour with the butter and it cuts it in. But a fork, you just want to take and you just want to mash that butter into the dough and to the flour. And you want your flour, once you get your butter in there, you want to make sure that your flour looks like coarse cornmeal. So you just push the butter. Well, Lord mercy, if I ain't already slung it out everywhere. But that's all right, honey. When I say get in the kitchen and sling around the flour, that's what I'm talking about, children. So you just want to cut your butter in there with the fork or the pastry cutter. And you just keep going around and around. And when you get the butter cut in, it will look like a coarse cornmeal. It's almost like making biscuits, and I have showed you all how to make biscuits, and a lot of you all have showed me your biscuits that you've made, and I'm telling you, every time I see those pictures of y'all making these recipes that we're learning together, that I'm teaching y'all, and y'all are learning, it just makes me so hungry, my mouth waters. I'm telling you, all are doing such a great job. You know, it's all about making it homemade. It's all about making it with love. And you know, even once that we come out of this coronavirus and we get back to work and stuff, I would love to see everybody just keep on making these wonderful homemade recipes, because what is better than giving your family or your children or your neighbors or your dentist or doctor or your grandma and her best friend or whoever, giving them a recipe that's made with love. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing. We've come a time in our lives that we are in our homes and we're learning these great homemade recipes, and it's time that we keep on doing these homemade recipes from time to time. So now this is what you want your cornmeal. Lord have mercy, slap my head and call me crazy. I'm telling you, children, this ain't cornmeal, this is flour. So this is what it should look like once you get your flour, your butter into your flour and all that. Let's turn our heat up a little bit here. Get our stock pot to going. Yeah, she going good. All right, so we're going to take our flour and make a well in the middle. Can you all see the well I'm making here in the middle? So you want to make like a divot or a well. See how that looks like coarse cornmeal? Now, in this well, we're going to add a 1/2 cup of milk. And I have a 1/2 cup of water, but we're only going to put about half of that. So about a 1/4 cup of water. And we may add the rest of the water in a minute. Because I don't know if you all realize this or not, but the humidity outside has a lot to do with your moisture content when you're making doughs. So if it's real moist outside, oh, there's that word again. If it's real humid outside, then it doesn't take as much liquid. If it's real dry outside, it's going to take a little more liquid. So this one is going to take some more liquid. So we put in the rest of our water, and we just mix that dough until it comes together. Now, don't fret, children, if you see some dry pockets in this, because this is what you're looking for. Those dry pockets is what's going to thicken up your chicken broth that's in your stock pot. And you know, chicken and dumplings is one of those things, like I said, you can go to the north, you can go to the south, you can go to the east, you can go to the west, and it's going to be made totally different every time. Now, this is a true southern chicken and dumpling. Whereas most people will put like onion and carrots and celery and stuff like that in their dumplings. And that's not a true southern dumpling. Honey, it's just all about the chicken and the dough in the south. So while that our stock is coming to boil, I'm going to come up here and talk to y'all and answer a few questions. So let's see who all's asking a question. One of my most offense words right there. That's right, moist. I hate to say that, and you know I'll say it every time, even though I know I'm not supposed to, but I say it. I hate it. Hey, how are you all? You are making me want to make my grandma's chicken and dumplings. Dumpling dough is similar. Thanks for doing these live videos. You're welcome so much, PRPL7593. I love doing these recipes. I love doing these videos for y'all. Lord mercy, my thing turned on. I love to do these recipes. Now I'm hungry. Well, that's my whole goal in life, honey. If I make y'all hungry, then I'm doing my whole goal in life. You know, it's one of those things that I love to take my good-rooted Southern recipes that my grandmother and my mom and my aunts taught me and bring them to you, but show you an easier way of doing that, and I'm doing that with all these. Please save this so people can watch this later. Love you, Jason. I am taping it as well, so I have it that you all can watch it again later, because I don't want you all to miss it, because I want you to be able to make all these. So howdy, everybody. I hope y'all, when is your next appearance on Food Network? Well, during the Corona outbreak, we were filming the 4th season of Best Baker. Our production was shut down, and we were sent home to be with our families and to make sure that none of us got sick. So once that we are past the coronavirus, we will go back to filming all of our shows. So hopefully it won't be long until we're back on TV again. Never knew that about the humidity. Thanks. Well, you're welcome. You know, humidity has so much to... If you're trying to make meringue, honey, you can just scratch that. Because if it's very, very humid outside, your meringue will not totally set up. It'll make it, but it won't get that nice stiff peak. Now, I do have a trick for that, and I'll show you all that in days to come, how to combat that when it is humid outside, when you're wanting some nice... meringues, and we'll even try to do my 7-minute frosting. I've had several people to ask about that. All right, so now that we have our dough all together, and our broth is boiling, I'm gonna bring this broth back over here. I'm getting me a chicken facial today. What can I use in place of cream of chicken? You can do this with cream of mushroom. If you don't have the cream of chicken, you can also use a can of canned cream or evaporated milk in there, and it gives it that nice texture to it. Just make sure if you're using the canned cream in it, not the cream of chicken, that you use some shredded chicken to add in there, or a can of chicken, whichever one. I live in Mississippi. I could write a book on humidity. Honey, ain't that right? Listen, GGB225. I'm telling you, if I had hair, I could write you a whole book on humidity when I'm down south working too, but I don't. But I can tell you, this beard, honey, when I get in humidity, whoo, she fuzzes right out like it ain't nobody's business. Can you do coconut macaroons? Yes, I will do coconut macaroons. I'm putting everything you all are asking on a list, and I'm going to try to get to everything. So if there's anything out there that you want to see me demo, that you all would love to learn the recipe, make sure that you send me a message or that you comment on the videos of what you'd like to see. I'm writing it down and we will get to it. All right, so now as you all can see, my broth is boiling. Now this is what you want it to do. You want it to come to a hard boil, and then you want to turn it down to where it's just barely simmering, because if it's boiling hard, when you go to dropping your dough in there, it's going to break up your dumplings. So you got to make sure that you got your long handled teaspoon like this. This one was passed down to me by my grandmother, and this is one that I hold it near and dear to my heart, because it's hard to find these teaspoons that's crooked like that. You can find them that's a little bit straighter, but any long handled teaspoon here will work. You want to dip let's see if we can't get that to cool down or calm down a little bit. You want to dip your spoon into this broth and get your spoon wet and hot. And then you're going to take your dough. I'm going to hold it up here so y'all can see. You're going to take your dough, and you want to come in here against the side of the bowl and get you just a little dollop like that. Straight into your broth, and shake your spoon until it comes off. And you keep doing that. I'm going to get my spoon out here. We'll let it rest there until we need it. You want to make sure that you're doing that. Put your spoon in there and just get you a little dollop on there, because, honey, these swell up. They'll swell up like baseballs if you get too many. And you just put it in there and wiggle it. And then you just keep making sure that your spoon is wet the whole time. And you just keep getting you a little bit in there. You make sure that your juice or broth, whatever you want to call it, is simmering. And you just keep doing just little bits like this. See that, guys? Make sure that you're doing little bits. And you see why I'm saying that you need a long handle spoon? Because if you had a short handle spoon, you'd have your hand down in that broth. And we don't want you to have your hand down in that broth. And you just keep doing that until all of that dough is gone. Now, if you all notice, this dough was just like the biscuit dough that we made the other day. Now, some people roll their dumplings out. In the South, we call them slick dumplings. If you roll this dough out and cut it into little squares and drop it in there, then that's called a slick dumpling. My grandmother on my dad's side, she made slick dumplings. She would roll that dough out and drop it in. But now, children, I won't turn my nose up to that because I can tell you, if it's a chicken and dumpling, I'm going to eat it. As most of y'all know, if you've eaten at Cracker Barrel or any home-cooked restaurant and they have dumplings, you'll see that they have those slick dumplings. And the reason why they do that is they can make so many more dumplings at a time than you can with this. Now, this recipe we're making today is a single recipe. If you have a family that's bigger than 4 to 6 people, then by all means, you can just double the recipe. Just make sure your pot is bigger, and it works the same. So you can see in my pot here how the dumplings that's coming to the top, that means that they're cooked. So as they come to the top in this liquid, then they are cooked through. Now, one thing you do not want to do, and children, you'll get in trouble with this every time, is if you go in here with a spoon and you start stirring the life out of this, you will break those dumplings up every time. You have to push dumplings, and you push them down and push them down and push them in there. Push them to the middle, push them away from the sides, push them under the liquid, and you want to push the whole time. Never stir, never stir a chicken and dumpling. Now you want to find, as you get, you'll see they're coming up, you find that little spot that's open right there that they're boiling up through there. And honey, that's where you want to add your dumplings. You just find those little spots that's open so you can get your dumplings down in there. And you can even hear me tap against the bottom sometimes just to make sure that the dough is coming off my spoon. So you're basically making little bitty drop biscuits on the end of your spoon here. And we've almost got our dough in there. I had a lot of requests. You can ask several people about my chicken and dumplings. I make them like this all the time. I love to make chicken and dumplings. It's one of my things that I pride myself on. I love to cook, I love to bake, but if there was one thing that I had to choose to make the rest of my life, as far as savory, it would be chicken and dumplings. And you can ask anybody around that's eaten my chicken and dumplings what they think about them. All right, 2 more and we've got them in there. All right, now we've got our chicken and dumplings up in there. And we're just gonna push these babies down. We want to push them down. And you all notice I use a wood spoon all the time, right? Well, you know why I use a wood spoon? First of all, I was taught to use wood spoons. Second of all, is you see the coloration on this wood spoon? This is a lifetime of seasoning in here. Because after you wash your wood spoons, every time you cook something, that wood spoon picks up a seasoning in there. Now, it's clean because you're washing it. But that adds a lifetime of love and a lifetime of flavoring. My grandmother never used anything but a wood spoon, and she lived wholeheartedly by it, and so do I. So once we put all of our dough into the chicken and dumplings, we want to push them down in there, and we're going to cover them, and we want them to cook about 5 to 10 minutes. So while that's cooking, we'll answer some questions here. Oh, Lord, I shook that one all over the place. I worked for Gigi's for 3 months. Well, hey, Edwards, 41 and 4 less how are you? Well, I'm so happy that you're working for Gigi's, honey. As you all know, I am the Chief Confectionery Officer for Gigi's Cupcake Corporation. And it's so much fun to bring you all my wonderful treats. It gives you a place to go and buy those. So thank you all so much. You're a great teacher. I can see why you won the Food Network Star Competition. Well, thank you, North Star BC. Thank you so much. I love to teach people. It's one of those things that is such a passion of mine, to teach people and teach them the easy way of doing things, because I want, just like these chicken and dumplings, when you eat these, you will taste my childhood and my grandmother's recipe, and I just done it a little easier way and showed you how to make it taste like hers so that you will have that same thing that I grew up with. My granny made a smooth dumpling all the time. They were great. Yes, smooth dumplings and rolled dumplings I was talking about is the same thing. Some of them puff up and some of them's real thin. Oh, honey, the dog's barking at something. It's either a deer running through the yard or a chicken, honey. Who knows what's going on up in here. But anyway, so, listen, I won't turn down a dumpling, children. I mean, look at this physique, honey. I never turn down a dumpling. It's one of those things that a dumpling, honey, children, is the best thing in the world. So, I love to eat. You know what my favorite meal is? Well, I used to ask for it at my birthday every year, which is in December the 16th, is I always ask for chicken and dumplings, shucked beans, turkey breasts, and cornbread, and sweet taters. Now, that was the perfect birthday dinner for me, and I loved it, and I asked for it all the time, and sometimes now I make it for myself and invite some friends in. So, when can I find the recipe for the chicken and dumplings? So, the recipe for chicken and dumplings will be up on the website, southerncountryBling.com, usually about 10 to 15 minutes after we get off the live demo. Today, the internet is a little bit wonky at where my friend Lisa lives, that she puts them on. I type them up and put them on there, and then she gets the pictures and everything fixed and launches it so you all can get it. So she said to be patient with her, but it would be up today, so we'll make sure that it is on there. And then also, while you're on the website, make sure that you sign up to get the monthly email or the monthly newsletter, because that's where you get recipes that only come out during that newsletter. And honey, there's all other stuff. It tells you about what's going on. It tells you about when I'm going to be on different shows. Plus, it gives you a drink recipe once a month. So, make sure when you go on my website, southerncountryBling.com, that you sign up for those emails, that you sign up to be a site member, and you sign up so that you can get all the information that we're getting out to you all. Can you make this a vegetarian meal? Yes, you can. If you want to use vegetable stock in here, you would not use the cream of chicken. You would use about almost a cup, right at a cup of canned cream. If you don't want to use the canned cream in there, being a vegetarian, you can also just use straight vegetable stock. You can use the vegan butters. You can use the coconut oils if you want to in there instead of place of the butter. So you can make it into a vegetarian meal. How many pets and animals do you have with you at home? I have one dog, which is Remington, and she's outside. She's a border collie, and 20 chickens and one rooster. So, honey, I got all kinds of things. If something don't go right, I just feed them to the dog or feed them to the chickens. All right, so let's get back to what about desserts for your birthday? So, my favorite dessert for my birthday was always an Italian cream cake. You all seen me, or most of y'all seen me make an Italian cream cake that won me the Holiday Baking Championship. Same recipe. I was always looking forward to that Italian cream cake. It's one of my favorites. Maybe, just maybe, I will try to get that recipe on. It's a little bit lengthy, so it would be, it'd probably be about an hour and a half show. But we'll try to get that on for you. So, I love you so much, Jason. Oh, my God. Well, I love you all, too. I can't find chicken broth. Can you just use what boiled the chicken in? Yes. So if you can't use chicken broth or can't find chicken broth, then you just take your chicken in about 6 cups or 6 quarts of water and salt and pepper and cook your chicken down. And then you just take the chicken out, take all the bones out and stuff, and then you do your chicken or your dumpling dough into there as well. If you can't find chicken, then you can use bouillon cubes or you can use powdered bouillon. Those will work the same with this recipe. All right, so you are my favorite. Well, honey, you all are my favorites. Yes, Italian. Love you so much. Honey, it's an Italian. That's all I know how to tell you what it is. It's an Italian cream cake. All right, so now I'm going to show you the chicken and dumplings has been cooking. And this is what it should look like. Now we turn off our burner, get our spoon, and see how that broth thickened. That's from those little extra pockets of flour that doesn't stir into the dumpling. I'm gonna get one of these dumplings up here, and I'm gonna cut it in half for y'all. If I can find my spoon. I don't know what I've done with the spoon. Here it is. All right, I'm gonna cut this in half, and I want you to see the inside of this dumpling. See the inside of that dumpling, how fluffy that is right there? So you can tell when they're done like that. When you see that fluffiness, then you know that they're done. All right, don't those look delicious, children? And you know, delicious is one of those words that I hate because it doesn't describe anything. These look scrumdiddlyumptious. Honey, these right here will make anybody go slap dab crazy, I'm telling you. So let's serve them up in here in this bowl. Get all of our dumplings and the juice. Oh my goodness gracious, children. Look at those dumplings. If you want more dumplings and not so much juice, you just get you in there and get your dumplings out. And the longer they set, or the longer you let them cook, the thicker that juice gets as well. Now I'm going to serve this today with a big honking piece of cornbread, and you have a meal. Now, like I said, if you have some canned chicken and you want to add to this, or you have some leftover chicken that you had last night, you can add it in here. Or by all means, you can take some chicken tenders and you can roast them in the oven and cut them up and put them in at the end once your dumplings is good to go. Sometimes I like chicken in mine, and sometimes I just want it like this. That's why the recipe is called Chick-N-Dumpling, because it's chicken dumplings, but there's not per se just whole chicken meat in here. I could listen to you talk all day. Well, honey, I could just stand here and talk to y'all all day. So I'm going to serve these chicken and dumplings. Look at that, children. Look at that, just steaming. Oh my goodness, great. Whoop, we're dripping it. With a big honking piece of cornbread. And you know why we serve it with cornbread? Because once you've eaten all them dumplings, you take that cornbread and you crack you off a piece and you just dip it in that broth. Oh my Lord. Oh my word, children. So this is my easy Southern chicken dumplings that you all are just absolutely going to go crazy over with some cornbread. I'll show you all the cornbread recipe in days to come. And let me show you how we eat this. So you take that big piece of cornbread and put it right in the side of there. And then you take your spoon or your fork and, honey, just get you some of them dumplings. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, Oh, it smells so good. It just very chickeny. Honey, it smells just like my grandmother's house up in here. Oh. Children, there ain't nothing better than a chicken and dumpling and a big hunk of cornbread to make it just warm and hearty. This is comfort food. This is my favorite food that I love to eat, especially on my birthday, but you should be eating these at least once a week. Children, I hope that you have had a good day today. I hope that I have touched some of y'all's lives and brought something to you and showed you my childhood through these chicken and dumplings. It's super easy to make. I get the request to do chicken and dumplings all the time, and I hope that I have fulfilled some of y'all's dreams on how to make chicken and dumplings. Now, I want you all to get in that kitchen, make your own, make my chicken and dumplings, take a picture of it, post it on social media, tag me in it, because I want to see how they turn out for you. I'm here for you all if you have questions. And listen, children, make sure that you're social distance, y'all. Make sure you're washing your hands, and make sure that you're making those good homemade meals that's made with love for your families and your friends that's with you right now. And honey, we're going to get through this together. I see y'all Friday at 1 p.m. and Friday's episode is all about desserts. So I can't wait for y'all to tune in. I can't wait to be with y'all again. And as always, I love you. It's homemade. It's made with love. And let's just get through this together. And we sure will. I love y'all. Social distance. Don't forget, SouthernCountryBling.com. Get your shirts to help for a cause, and make sure that you sign up for the email. I'll see y'all later. Love you. Bye.